Hey guys, Stay Patient here, and it's time to review the free PS Plus games for April. They've been announced today, and unfortunately I have to say it's rather disappointing once again. Now we are getting a game, on release day. Drawn to Death has been out, available as early access for a while now, and I was actually forgetting that when we spoke about it during the trophy update this week. There was actually a separate trophy list for the early access version of the game, but they've scrapped that now and a new trophy list has been announced. We spoke about it on Sunday, so we're not going to cover it too much, and there's not really much feedback when it comes to the difficulty of the game. I will say that there's been a lot of negative feedback about the game itself. It doesn't seem that popular based on the early access, the beta and everything. So, this is like the big game this month, and Sony feel like they're giving us something decent because it's a brand new game. But based on everyone's feedback, it doesn't seem like it's going to be that popular. So, it's a bit disappointing to have the main game be something that people aren't really enjoying. But on top of that, we've got Lovers in a Dangerous Spacetime, Invizimals, and Alien Rage on PS3. Then we've got 10 Second Ninja and Curses and Chaos, which are cross-buy between PS Vita and PS4. Now, I will point out that neither of these games have platinums, and both of them have a shared trophy list. So the fact that you're getting it on Vita and PS4 doesn't allow you to earn the trophies twice. You're only going to be able to earn them once. It's a shared list on both games. But of course, the main benefit of having them as cross-buy is the fact that if you don't have a Vita, you're still able to play them. But they both look relatively tough, and neither have a platinum like I mentioned. But we're going to have a look at these games in order, check out some trailers and some feedback on the PlayStationTrophies.org. So we have, to start with, Lovers in a Dangerous Spacetime. Now we're not sort of looking into Drawn to Death, because like I said, we covered that on Sunday. We don't really want to spend time talking about that again. We did look at some gameplay for it. Now this is an odd looking game. It's couch co-op, which is kind of cool. This does have a platinum, and it kind of appeals to me for the fact that it is couch co-op. It's quite difficult to find games on PS4 to be able to play with a friend in the same room. So many games just stick to online multiplayer, and it basically looks almost like one of those pixel junk games. You're sort of flying a ship around a level, you're having to jump from room to room to control different weapons on the side to take out enemies and things like that. And I don't know, it looks kind of cool. It looks like a bit of fun. Like I say, having a couch co-op game that's a bit off the wall, a bit different, is interesting. We're going to have a look at the trophies in a moment. There is a trophy guide for this up, and there are sort of some votes on the different voting threads and things like that. So if this trailer doesn't go on for too long, I think that's everything. So let's move on to the trophies themselves. Now we've got a trophy guide open here. The interesting thing about this is that the difficulty voting thread and the sort of time requirement thread seem to disagree with the trophy guide quite a lot. So when you look at this, don't take this as a definite kind of indication. He gives it a 5.5 out of 10 and says it's going to take 20 to 40 hours. Now, if you look at the voting thread for difficulty, we've got a couple at 3, a couple at 4. We do have a 5 and a 7, so it's not vastly different to what he estimated, but it does seem to be a bit easier than the guide does indicate. The main one, though, is the completion time. Now, we've got 4 people voting 11 to 15 hours. We have a couple voting for 6 to 10 hours. And then we have like one person voting very, very high. So either they got really unlucky or they're trying to troll or whatever. Maybe they're trying to balance out the difficulty, the completion time to make it a bit more realistic or something. But for the most part, people are mentioning that the guide seems a bit off. The person who made the guide, has commented here. He said that he put 11 to 15 hours here because that's how long it took him. But in the guide, he put 20 to 40 because he felt like that's more representative of what it's going to take normal people. Now, he was a bit quicker because he's already done the game on PC, and he got lucky. Apparently, there is some RNG related with this game, so it could take you a long time. It could be very quick. But for the most part, people are basically saying that it seems like a very large jump to put it up to 20 to 40 hours when it actually took him closer to 10 or 15. So when you look at this guide, don't automatically assume it's like a really long, difficult platinum, because the voting threads do seem to disagree with that. It looks like it could be easier, and it's probably, for the majority of people, going to be a lot quicker than the time that's posted here. Now those are both of the main PS4 games, so it's not really been a great showing from Sony this month, or next month I should say. We do have a couple of PS3 games. We're going to very quickly check out the trailer for Invizimals: The Lost Kingdom. Now of course, this is an older game. I don't even know if it's really worth watching the trailer. This is like proper old school PS3 gameplay. I have actually played this game. I did play it for the trophies, and it wasn't terrible, but, you know, it's nothing to get excited about. It's not the kind of game that people are going to be glad to see on this list of freebies. It kind of reminds me in some ways of the Ben 10 games. I played one of those Ben 10 titles on PS3 years ago, and I vowed never to play another one. It just seemed like it took forever. You know, it's one of those games that, I don't know, it probably was done within 10 hours, but it felt like a lifetime because it was just painful to play. This was a little bit better. You basically swap between different forms, different creatures, and they have like different abilities and stuff. And it sounds interesting, but it's just a bit clunky. And it's fine. It's just generic, you know, it's a typical generic PS3 platformer. Now, when it comes to trophies, the guide on PlayStationTrophies.org is pretty accurate. You know, it's around 10 to 15 hours to complete. And I think the voting thread gives it about a 3 out of 10 on average. So the 2 here is pretty much correct, you know, 2 or 3 out of 10. So it's an easy plat, and it's fairly quick as well. But, you know, only play it if you think you're going to enjoy it, because sometimes these games are technically fast, but they seem like they take a lot longer than they do just because you're not enjoying yourself. We do have another PS3 game that looks quite interesting, and it's one that I've never actually played. This is Alien Rage, and the one on PS3 is referred to as the Extended Edition, I think. Now I think this might be the trailer for the PC version. I think it's out on PC as well. The graphics probably look a bit better than they do on PS3. But this is pretty much a kind of Killzone clone from what I can tell. It looks as though they've taken a lot of inspiration from the Killzone series. I haven't checked to see which one released first, but obviously Killzone 1 was around back on PS2, so that's quite an old franchise by this point. But as you can see, it's sort of, at first it looks kind of like Gears of War, but then you realise it's first person rather than third person. And, you know, you can even see the enemy models are fairly similar. You've got the guys with like red eyes in hoods that look a lot like some of the Hellghast in Killzone. And it looks kind of cool. This is a game that, you know, going by the voting threads on, you know, on the trophy forums, it looks like a lot of people really struggled with it, but there are perks that you can unlock to be able to make it a lot easier. And it does look kind of cool. It doesn't have a platinum. It's very important to mention that it does not have a plat. And that's a real shame because it looks like the kind of game that is going to take some effort. It's stated at around an 8 to 12 hour platinum, and that's kind of agreed on the voting thread. It's fairly quick, but only if you've got the skill to complete it. A lot of people have given this a 10 out of 10 for difficulty. But then other people were mentioning that things do get easier when you unlock certain perks in the game that I think I might have mentioned a moment ago. But you notice here it's given a 5 out of 10 on the actual, you know, the trophy guide itself. If we have a look here on the voting thread, we've got 6 people voting for 10, but I feel like these people might have voted prematurely. They might have kind of jumped on here when they first started playing the game and found it really difficult and given it a 10. But then some people were mentioning certain power-ups and perks and things like that. This guy here has mentioned that even when he unlocked the perks, he still voted for a 10 out of 10 because he really struggled with some of the bosses, although he has posted a useful thread here, which I haven't looked through yet, but he's kind of posted some of his strategies that helped him get through. And quite often, if someone who really struggles with the game posts some strategies, then they can be quite useful. I don't know why he's put a link here. Oh, maybe it is... Oh, it is his guide. Okay, I do apologise. So he made the actual trophy guide. So he has posted some strategies for the different boss battles. And like I say, if he struggled with it, then his strategies must be very useful because they helped him get through the game. If someone finds the game easy anyway, then usually if they post a strategy, then it doesn't really help those who are struggling. But in this case, they might be quite useful. So I do recommend checking out the guide for this. He has given it a 5 out of 10. So although he's voted 10 out of 10 here, he has dropped that difficulty for the guide itself. A lot of people are saying that, you know, 10 out of 10 rating can put people off buying it. Other people are saying that it's actually a lot easier. Where are we? There's a lot of kind of arguments here about the legitimacy of trophy hunters if they don't play tough games. Voted 5. Some sections are tough, but once the overcharged pistol is unlocked, it gets much easier. So again, it looks like the kind of game that a lot of people are saying they're struggling with, but it's probably very doable if you want to put the work in. Like I said, it has no platinum, so sometimes I feel like if you don't get a plat from playing a game, if it takes a lot of effort, a lot of skill, a lot of practice, and you don't earn a plat, I feel like it's kind of devaluing the effort that it requires, you know, it's devaluing the work that you've put in. So sometimes I kind of shy away from them. Anyway, it does look fun. I may try it out. Looks like a decent laugh. We've got 2 games here, 10-Second Ninja and also Curses and Chaos. Now, these are both the PS Vita crossbuy games with PS4. Like I said, they only have 1 trophy set, so whichever platform you play it on is going to be contributing towards the same set of trophies, and neither of them have platinums. Now, there's not much to go on when it comes to trophies here. We are going to start watching this trailer so that I'm not wasting time. They're both kind of 2D games. This looks pretty cool. We're going to skip this first little bit because it's just like a bit of a joke at the start. But yeah, it looks fun. It's basically a game, from what I can tell, that you have these small areas, these small 2D sections, and you literally have to just fly through the level as quick as possible and take out all of the objectives, these kind of robot things or whatever they are. And each level, I think each level is 10 seconds. You have 10 seconds to do it. So it's literally a case of practicing over and over. Now, I like it when a game is really tough, but it doesn't require you to do something hard throughout a whole playthrough. Some games are like, right, go out, play the whole game in one sitting, no deaths on the hardest setting, and, you can't save, you can't quit out of the game, you can't upload your save, and stuff like that that's frustrating because you can put a load of time and effort in but not get anything from it and not feel like you're progressing at all, because as soon as you fail, you've lost everything. But with games like this, and games like, for instance, Trackmania, which I started playing recently, every sort of level is very short. So although every section might be difficult, and there may be some that are really, really difficult, if you put the time in, you can perfect each level, and once you've done it, that's it, you can move on. You don't need to worry about losing all that progress that you've made. It's like banking your progress. I like that. So with games like this, I may try this out. Not having a platinum again is a bit of a turn off, but it looks really cool. It looks like it's going to be fun. If it's not too long, then it might be a laugh, just trying to get to grips with each of these different levels and perfect them and finally make your way through the game. Now, there isn't really anything to go on when it comes to trophies. There's nothing on the PlayStationTrophies.org forum. It's been out for about 8 or 9 months by this point, so it is an older game. There's no feedback at all. There's no trophy guide or anything. I will say that on PSNprofiles.com it has a very low completion rating of less than 2%. That's less than 2% that have 100%ed it, because obviously there's no platinum to go by. But Curses as well, this is very similar. This is another game that only has about 1.5% completion rating, or 100% completion rating. This is very pixelated, kind of a pixel art game, typical, I guess, like 8-bit or 16-bit or whatever. Let's have a look, see if we can skip through. I think this one, there is a bit of feedback, and we'll take a look at it in a moment. Looks like there's some co-op play as well. I actually find it quite difficult to see what's going on with games like this, You'd think that the more modern graphics would make it harder to see what was happening, but I suppose because our eyes have become accustomed to the extra detail, we find it easier. But with these games that are very pixelated, I sometimes struggle to see what's what and see what I'm supposed to be avoiding and things like that. But this, I don't know, this looks okay. I think maybe there are some kind of RPG elements to it, but it's mostly like a platformer, reaction-based platformer, like a lot of things, with the boss battles and things like that. Looks okay. It's not a great month, I must say, for PS Plus freebies. It's getting worse, because it used to be that PSN, the PlayStation Plus games, were a lot better than Xbox Gold, much, much better for years. But now Xbox have really started pulling it out of the bag, trying to gain back some traction, I suppose, because they're really losing to PlayStation at the moment. And at least it's working for them in the sense of free games, because PS Plus is really failing miserably over the last few months. So we've got here the voting thread. There's no guide for Curses and Chaos, but they've got the voting thread up, and there's 3 people that have given it a 7 out of 10. So it looks fairly tough. Someone here has said that the 100,000 scores for each level, they're easy with the lucky cats. Now that's not going to mean anything to you if you haven't played the game, and I haven't, so I'm just kind of reading this just in case people are in the middle of playing it at the moment. But yeah, there's a couple trophies here. He says a quite difficult Agent of Chaos and Elite Fighter. But for the most part, this is a game with a low completion rating, and it looks like it's going to be quite tricky. So that's pretty much the same as 10-Second Ninja. So there we have the games for April, guys. I'm sorry I can't bring you better news. I know it's not on me, but we've got Drawn to Death. It looks interesting, at least. I will say that this looks very interesting, and I do like the fact that developers are trying new things. They're trying very different art styles. The fact that it's not been executed very well and people aren't really enjoying the actual gameplay is sad, but hopefully it kind of opens the floodgates to more developers trying new things and just trying to branch out a bit, trying to push gaming forward in different ways. When it comes to trophies, it's quite grindy by the looks of things. You need to get a lot of kills, you need to get a lot of wins and things like that. There are a lot of hidden sections to levels where you need to find like Easter eggs and all different things. I think there's like a PvE based trophy where you need to reach a certain level of a ranked tower. I think that's maybe fighting against PvE type enemies. I'm not 100% sure. Maybe people who've actually played it will be able to give us more information in the comments below. But Lovers in a Dangerous Spacetime actually looks like a bit of fun for couch co-op players if you have family members that you like gaming with. Invizimals, I mean, if you're desperate for an easy plat that's going to take a little bit longer than a typical like easy PS4 plat, then, you know, you might want to play it. It's not terrible, but it's not a great game. Alien Rage looks fun. It might be very difficult, but, you know, some people have said it's easier if you can unlock some perks and things like that. It looks like a laugh. It's just a shame it doesn't have a platinum. And the same with these two. No plats there. But they look okay if you're into 2D platformers and challenging games. But there you go, guys. Thanks very much for watching. Hopefully next month, or should I say May, will hold a better list of games for us. Hopefully Sony start listening to people and realizing that we do want some more interesting titles and at least one big AAA game each month, because, you know, these are just kind of falling flat at the moment. But thanks for your time, guys. I hope you enjoy any of the games that you end up playing. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I look forward to catching you in my next video. Cheers.